Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Nothing Zilch Nada. We're your hosts, Xavier Dean.
And Jacob Green.
This week we've got my topic, and my topic is going to be under the category. I was debating on putting this under our Master Debaters category, but the more I thought about it, considering this is based around real world events, I'm doing it based on the category, and I've got the categories written right. Nope, not there. Somewhere. I think it's what in the world is what this category is.
Well, I mean, if we're talking about something that's real world, I guess we could call it that.
Yep. It's in a segment called What in the World. So, and I think the best way to describe this is something that has been done by multiple people. I wouldn't necessarily say that I want to jump on the hype train for this, but this is something that for the most part, I enjoy watching videos about it. I enjoy listening to videos about it. And it is those am I the a-holes? I know it's asshole and we allow ourselves to say that. I just don't want to say that every
We can
time.
all, yeah, we can also say you can also say jerk.
hmm So I'm either gonna do am I the jerk or am I the A? And the main reason I wanted to do this was because I was scrolling through my videos and there's one specific one that I wanted Jake to respond to. And I figured if I'm doing one, might as well get a list. So,
hmm
Jake, have you thought about what it takes to be an a-hole or a jerk?
You know, I was thinking about this, and I want to start this off by mentioning actually a small story that I've seen as of late. Um, Now, because it is most likely our audience isn't exactly going to know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to get into the exact details anyway because I do not want to be a part of that train. But basically,
Mhm.
um, since like late December, early January, there was this guy that popped up. Um, so when we talked about um in one of our episodes about like our bucket list items and seeing which places we want to go to, I mentioned like Smalls, which is a jazz club in New York. Um, I won't mention the exact date or the person uh, this involves, but there was a jam session at Smalls in late December, and this this guy comes up, starts jamming with them, and he does all right. Um, but then this guy, like throughout the time that he was playing, just started like cussing people out, telling them that he knows better than anybody. In other words, not having the right attitude for a performance, especially in a jam session where you're performing with pretty much a random assortment of people of varying different skill levels. Um, well, maybe in the general spectrum, there is a middle point, but generally speaking, there's all sorts of skill levels that go there. And and you think I'm mostly talking about that, and I kind of am. I
Right.
mean, because you don't want to have that attitude in a jam session. In fact, when that clip got posted online, and I checked the Smalls Live website to make sure that like, is this actually real? And yeah, it was. It was real. I reposted it, but not for the reasons that other people were reposting it. I reposted it because on Instagram because I wanted to show that this attitude cannot be tolerated on stage because it's not appropriate for any performance that you go to.
hmm
But then I took down the repost a few days later. Why? Because other people were they were just like not leaving the guy alone. They posted like clips of him being a jerk online. He became like just well known. I think we undervalue how this stuff can spread like a wildfire very quickly.
Yes.
Um, and this definitely became a wildfire. But these people, they were just trying to dog on the guy and just being like, "Oh, he's just playing chords." Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I'm taking this down. I do not want to be a part of it because that's not the reason why I repost the clip.
Sure.
I talk about it or repost it because again, that attitude is not tolerated. So
Mhm.
yes, the guy was being a jerk, but the people that have been like reposting him, even when he said he made a post about how sorry he was, he apologized. Now, whether that's a genuine apology or not, that's up to you. But like, people were still dogging on this guy, and it's just like there are some very toxic musicians out there, and like usually those are the ones that get like very insecure about these things, and it's just like, come on, man. So all this to say that I think when what it takes to be a jerk or an a-hole is to be like you're acting towards them. The reasons can vary because like usually it stems from a couple of things: jealousy, envy, and pride. And I even have stories of my own. Uh, I might even mention them in this episode, but I know I've talked about it in past episodes, and I know Xavier has talked about it too. Where
Yes.
like there are just those people that think they are better than everybody else,
Mhm.
or think that they could be on their high horse, and not try to like humble themselves out, and they pick out, let's just call it, let's call like the weakest one in the bunch,
Mhm.
and the one that's like struggling, and they'll take that person down, or they take someone down that's like improving but is on a lower position,
Mhm.
and uh take them down.
Yep.
It's happened to me. I know it's happened to Xavier. Like
So many
it's
times.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's part of the reason. One of the things, like, because this is a pretty broad question of like what it takes to be a jerk, but I think that's a
Yes.
big reason as to why.
Hmm. Exactly. So for these, I went to Reddit. I don't have an account on Reddit, but Reddit allows you to look at things without having to get an account. Went
Hmm.
through, I picked out a couple stories, made sure to siphon out what we normally don't want to talk about or don't like to
Hmm.
talk about, made sure that there was no use of certain words. And I
We
tried,
talk about nada.
yeah, nada's not the best. But anyway, I made sure to go through, and I didn't want to pick the ones where it involves relationships because I feel like us giving relationship advice at this stage in our life isn't the best idea. So
Plus that's a whole other can of worms
that is a
in
whole other can of worms. And I tried to make this a little more fun. I've got some where I view the person as not a jerk, some where I view the person as a jerk. Because again, I read through all of these anyway. So this is more Jake deciding, and then I'll put in my 2 cents afterwards.
Okay.
So we're gonna start with the one that gave me this idea. The one
Okay.
that not only immediately made me think I want to do one of these videos, but specifically I want to do one of these videos with Jake. So we'll start with Am I the jerk for telling my kid I would help him get a Switch if he can beat Ocarina of Time. So,
Hmm.
without hearing the contents of this story, what are you thinking, Jake?
Well, I think that's now this is kind of a stupid question, but it is kind of specific. Is it Ocarina of Time on the N64 or the 3DS?
Well, that's going to be something you're going to find out as we go through,
Okay.
because it does get.
Um, well, considering the fact that like I mean, I do think the 3DS version is a little bit easier to play than the N64 version. The N64 version is still pretty good. I mean, it's high. It's straight up one of in the greatest games of all time on like scoring websites and top 10 games of all time, like worldwide. Um, but I say, I say that's reasonable. And here's my reason as to why. Because like this isn't always the case, but like I say games generally speaking today are usually a bit easier to get into depending on the type of game that you're getting into.
Mhm.
I say for the specific game that they're playing Ocarina of Time, which is an action adventure game, you
Mhm.
know. So it's not platforming, it's not an RPG where you have to level up and uh constantly grind stuff out. This is an action adventure game where you still fight enemies, you still fight bosses, you still upgrade your equipment, but the difficulty is kind of like your own choice. There are optional paths that you can take with it. Um, but I say most games today are um, some games are tailored to like, you know, a younger demographic that like, you know, it's a bit easier to get into. And I mean, if you're talking about the Switch specifically, I mean, there are some games out there that are a lot more tailored to like that younger demographic for people to easily get into. But of course, you know, there are still games that still provide some difficulty. I mean, if we're gonna be comparing it to another Zelda game, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, like those are open world games. Those you could do whatever the heck you want in those. Like, I mean, I'm not sure that much about Tears of the Kingdom. I've not really seen it all too much, but Breath of the Wild, though, Breath of the Wild, you could do whatever the heck you want with that.
Yeah.
So I say, I say that's reasonable. I
Okay.
say that's reasonable.
All right. Now
I
let's
don't
hear
think
the.
that's.
What's that?
I say that he's not being a jerk.
All right. So let's hear the story first before you make your final verdict.
Okay.
So my 10-year-old kid has been saving his money through birthday allowances, etc., for months now to get a Nintendo Switch so he can play Breath of the Wild. Right now, he has $200 saved up. At his current allowance, $10 a week, it would still take him months to be able to afford it. I know he really wants it as well, or I know he really wants it as all of his friends have one, and he hasn't been obnoxious about it, just diligently saving up his money. Now, I have to say, he's a really good kid, kind, smart, does his chores without complaining, friendly to everyone. He's been making great grades in school and was even made captain of his soccer team. Instead of making him do more chores to earn more money, I thought of a more fun solution to help him get his Switch. I told him if you can beat Ocarina of Time without Googling for help, I thought it'd help, or so I would help him along the way if he got stuck. On my old Nintendo 64, I'll pay for the rest of your Switch and get you Breath of the Wild. Wife initially Her wife was initially opposed to the idea, but then thought it could be a fun father-son bonding thing, so she went along with it. Part of my reasoning, too, is I just want him to appreciate how far video games have come, and Ocarina of Time is a timeless classic. I jumped at the idea. After a weekend of playing, he's already at Zora's domain as young Link. He seems to be having fun with it and hasn't gotten too frustrated yet. He's only played Minecraft, really, so the dated graphics don't bother him either. But anyway, I told a couple friends about it, and they think I'm a massive jerk. That I'm trying to relive my childhood vicariously through my son, and that I should just get him the Switch because he's already such a good kid. Now I'm having second thoughts and I'm feeling bad about it, but he does seem to be enjoying the challenge. So am I the jerk?
You know, I still don't think that. I still don't think that. Like all the reasons that I just mentioned, like it aligned with his like thought process. Um, and the best part is the kid seems to be like enjoying the game. So like I think it's I do think it's a good thing. And it's something that I'm considering too, because it's like, growing up, at least for my case, like I didn't have the newest consoles at the time. I didn't
Mhm.
have a GameCube. When I went to my grandma's house, like I played on the Super Nintendo. Um, so like the the higher the lower graphics don't necessarily like bother me that much. Um, and like I love going through like virtual console games. Like I bought some virtual console games on the 3DS and I played like Super Mario Brothers and The Legend of Zelda and Pokemon Crystal. Like you'll learn to appreciate games when you do that. Um, and I think it's a very important thing too. So, and I do feel like it's a reasonable trade-off. So, because like he stated that his kid is good and whatnot. Does his chores. Has good behavior. That's always great to see. Um, and like it wouldn't be too much money left to afford because like a Switch, I think a Switch nowadays costs like 300 three the general price is $300, but I know they had like Nintendo did a price increase when the Switch released.
Right.
So
Well,
let me.
this was also something, or this was also a post that was made I want to say a couple of years ago.
Okay, yeah, so it would have been $300. Because the regular Nintendo Switch nowadays costs 340. So, um, yeah, yeah, if he saved up $200 and the father only has to pay like 100 left,
Hmm.
I say that's reasonable. Although it would probably be 50 more with the game because he's thinking of getting Breath of the Wild.
Hmm.
And also I think playing Ocarina of Time, before Breath of the Wild also helps to appreciate like the evolution of the Zelda series. Because like Ocarina of Time was a revolutionary game because of like its innovation. Like it was one of the few games that was like a 2D game that transitioned into 3D super well. Super Mario 64 is another great example of it. Um, but Ocarina of Time, it might be dated in some aspects, but like it's aged pretty well. And like here's the thing, like Majora's Mask, the sequel to that game is like my favorite game of all time. So like it I still think you would want to play Ocarina of Time first before you play Majora's Mask. I think playing Ocarina of Time helps you to easily get into the other 3D Zeldas and appreciate what came before. But
Hmm.
Breath of the Wild though, Breath of the Wild was like not a revolutionary thing because like we had a ton of open world games before Breath of the Wild, but Breath of the Wild was more evolutionary. It was able to get out of that rut that 3D Zelda was experiencing for a while, that linearity, and to become even more non-linear. Um, and just so happened to be most people's like favorite game.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it helps to appreciate, and especially Breath of the Wild mechanically is kind of different compared to the other 3D Zeldas because you could get whatever equipment you want, and take whatever path you want. You're not having like a strict path to take. But um, but I think it's reasonable. I don't think this guy is being a jerk by doing this.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's a jerk. The way I'm viewing this is, you know, the father is looking at how the kid is doing, and he's not caving in on just going and buying because the kid's been saving up his money just to get this. It would feel like a complete, in my opinion, it would feel like a waste if his son raises enough money just to get it
mhm,
as well. I agree. I feel like going with, playing an older game before you get the newer game, you know,
mhm,
you would have a better enjoyment of the newer game, seeing how everything has changed. It's like
mhm.
watching the original trilogy from Star Wars, that was released in late 70s, early 80s, and then watching the stuff coming out now, seeing how much they've changed.
Yeah. I think the other important thing to take into consideration is the fact that like it's a father and son bonding moment for them. And
Yes.
one of my favorite things to see on like YouTube or social media is videos of like kids playing games with their parents alongside them that grew up with those games.
Mm,
Whether it's like Pokemon or Mario or Zelda. Um, it's just cool. It's just cool to see that. Um,
Plus,
like I
oh,
huh?
what was that you were gonna say?
I was gonna say that like one of the gaming podcasts that I regularly follow, Resident Arc, one of the people that runs the podcast has kids, and he says that like he'll play games with them from time to time, and I think Kingdom Hearts was one of those games. You know the um that they were able to play Kingdom Hearts to get together. Like it's just one of those things that I think is important to do. Now, should kids only just play games? No. I think you should do I think you should read with your kids. I think you should watch movies or TV shows with your kids.
Hmm.
Um, because like I think it's a very easy thing, especially nowadays, to look down on things that kids are getting into and being like, oh man, I straight up don't like this. Now, that's that is up in the air of exactly what that is, you know. It could be some type of content that's just not good for the kid to get into. But like, you know, but it's good to have some sort of understanding of how they enjoyed this thing in the first place. I mean, like take me for instance. Like I'm pretty much the only musician in my family. No one else is like really into playing music. I mean, my mom does sing in like the church choir, and my whole family, I got exposed to all kinds of music because of my family. So they love listening to music. Um, and like my parents don't exactly get like the whole intricacies of like exactly why I enjoy or love music, but the important thing is that they understand it and that they support it, and that's enough. That's enough. And like it actually isn't for it, other people like me, they're in that same ballpark as well, but then there's other people where their parents are just like not appreciative of like the talents that they have. You
Mm.
know, my dad always talks about how you you gotta have like your morals straightened out, but you also want to embrace those morals with the gifts that you are given. So
All right. All right. So the overall verdict, this person, not a jerk.
a jerk.
Not a jerk. Actually, a really good father.
Hmm. Not a jerk.
Yep. All right. So this next one involves food.
Okay.
Am I the jerk for asking for a separate check? Jake, what's your initial verdict just from the title?
Ah, that okay. That's a little bit tough because um well, first off, is this person eating? Well, from that line alone, it's obviously that he's not eating on his own. But
What's the
like it's obvious that he's not eating on his own.
hmm.
He's eating with somebody else. But like, is it a date? Is it with a family? Is it with just a friend? Um, there's that to consider. Um, but the other thing too is just like usually you want to announce to your waiter or waitress, wherever you're at, that you're getting separate checks if you plan on doing that. So I will say, I mean, he could have also just forgotten, which is also the case. You forget to tell your waiter or waitress, so like, hey, I would like a separate check. So I say my initial verdict is that he's not being a jerk. Again, it depends on the tone of voice. It depends on like if he's being like a shrewd about it. I don't think he is. I'm not sure, but yeah, read the story because
All right.
this could go in all sorts of different directions.
So she starts. I'm specifying she because you kept specifying he by
Oh,
saying the.
sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. I get it. I get it. Blame me. I see how it is. All right. So our Reddit or the Reddit user says, so I go out to eat with my boyfriend's family a lot for context. It's him,
Okay.
me, his four siblings, one of the siblings' girlfriends, the mom, and their stepdad. So, for case of reference, that is nine people.
Okay.
Every time we go out, the check is split four ways. My boyfriend and I together, his brother and his girlfriend, the mom, and the stepdad. No matter how little or how much I ordered, which I don't think is right for anyone, because if I ordered four chicken tacos, why am I paying for your three beers, two apps, and entree? So yesterday, the waitress came and I asked for my boyfriend and I to have a separate check. They all looked at me crazy, so they said no together. Or no, together we split it. I said no, I'm paying for him and I. He told me no, he wanted it together. So I said, okay, I'll just pay for my food. I ordered an appetizer and a side Caesar salad. The tab was almost $400. Why am I splitting it when my food was 25? So they got mad. I explained I was not paying for stuff I didn't order, and I'm not paying for their children's meals when I ordered two things. They all got mad and said, "What? Well, we all are splitting it." Just gonna point out, not a lot of punctuations in this one.
Hmm.
And said, "Well, we are all splitting it." I said, "That's fine. Y'all can split it and I'll pay for my meal." I left the restaurant by myself and didn't attend the things they had planned afterwards because the situation was obviously not over. My boyfriend got mad at me and said I embarrassed him at the restaurant and for not attending. I'm at a loss, honestly. It's the next day and everyone is still mad. Am I the jerk?
Hmm.
All right.
This is a bit tricky, honestly.
So here's the one thing I factored with this.
Okay.
The way they're splitting it is like I get that you don't really want to pitch in for everyone.
Mhm.
But the way they split the check at the beginning, they mentioned her and her boyfriend together. So
Mhm.
that's one section of the paycheck, or one section.
Yeah.
And then it's brother and his girlfriend, the mom and the stepdad. So even though, oh wait, hold on. Never mind, that's
But weren't there other kids?
there were other kids. But the check would be split into four ways based on the nine. I don't know. For me, whenever I go out with a group of people, if we were splitting a bill, I'd rather have it where you pay for what you ordered rather than trying to split it this way. Because then for me, it's, well, if I happen to get the most expensive thing on the menu,
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, it seems like more of a gain for me. Whereas in her case, the person who gets the appetizer and the Caesar salad gets screwed because she has to pay more.
Okay. So here's the other thing I'm factoring in though, is
Mm,
that like it'd be different if it was like a group of friends, which makes sense.
right.
However, this is a family. And
Well,
usually, and I say this because I go out to eat with my family,
hmm
and you usually because it seems a bit it makes sense to me that they would be splitting it, which you would have to do in some cases, but like if you are able and willing to like pay for the whole family, I think you should.
yes.
Like I think you absolutely should. Um, but it I but again, it's hard to know exactly the exact situation that like they're going through because like just with some of the stuff that's happening.
hmm
Um, but it's hard to say because it's like
So the other thing I want to mention,
yeah.
even though it's family, it's
Mhm.
her boyfriend's family. It's not her family.
Oh,
I
okay.
feel like that was the one thing that you weren't getting, which is why I was trying to bring it up sooner. So,
Okay. Okay. That would definitely help.
so for me, I would say it's reasonable. Like her argument is reasonable in that sense
Mhm.
because granted, there's probably a hope that that family's going to be part of her family
Mhm.
in the coming years.
Mhm.
But as of right now, she's more, she's less a permanent part of the family and more a visitor to the family, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well even then because like I mean my brother just got a girlfriend last year who's now his fiance and even before they got engaged, you know, my parents were still like paying for their meals, you know, not knowing the fact that like exactly like whether uh that person would become part of the family or not.
Right.
Yeah, but uh it, I want to say she's not being a jerk or at least not being a jerk on purpose.
That's
Cuz like it's too reasonable. It's too reasonable. That's the thing. And it could just be like a misunderstanding.
yes.
Like I I want to say she's not being a jerk. And I mean, like if it's just one of those things where like she hasn't gotten to that type of situation, I want to say she's not being a jerk because it could be just one of those things where she thinks she's just trying to help out, but it just came off the wrong way to other people. Misunderstanding. If it's one of those things where like she was kind of like being a shrewd about things, then yeah, maybe it'd be more on the jerkish side and or more towards the line of ignorance, if
Right.
anything. But in this case, I don't think it's complete ignorance. I just think it's a misunderstanding.
Hmm. All right. So as for her argument, I'm going to say she is not a jerk. I feel like she has the right to talk to the family about, hey, if I'm ordering something light, I want to pay for myself. Again,
Mm-hmm.
because this isn't her immediate family.
Mm-hmm.
With the execution, though,
Yeah, the execution is the only thing that like
hmm,
seems murky.
right. And from what I'm gathering from the question and the content, she's asking if she's a jerk for asking for the check, which I would say for asking for the check, yes, she's the jerk for doing that. I feel like instead she should talk to the family about it first before just going and saying, may I please have a separate check?
Yeah. But again, it could be just like a misunderstanding sort of deal. I mean, it could be the first time she's been in that like type of situation. But
Well,
like
it's not because she's mentioned that she goes out with the family a lot.
Mhm.
For context, that is the first.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. I guess I can see it.
Yeah, so like I said, I feel like her argument's valid, but she should have approached it differently.
Okay.
All right, so moving on to the next story, and this one's a longer one.
Okay.
Am I the jerk for telling my daughter's dad she isn't going to his wedding because of the way I found out about it?
Repeat that question again.
Am I the jerk for telling my daughter's dad she isn't going to his wedding because of the way I found out about it?
Uh, this is a hard question to sparse with that type of information.
All right.
I mean, I want to say, well, it depends like how she's connected into that situation. Like, I don't want to say exactly what position she's in to make that justifiable. My,
All right. So,
you said her daughter's dad?
yep, her daughter's dad.
Okay, read the story because like I can't sparse this.
All right, I will read the story, and I'm gonna point out this is the only one that I didn't get to read fully. It was
Mhm.
instead I skimmed through it, made sure certain words and certain things weren't in it.
Okay.
So I, a 26-year-old female, broke up with my ex slash daughter's dad, 25-year-old male, 3 years ago. We were together 5 years, had our daughter, a 6-year-old female, after 2 years together, good co-parenting, and don't really talk about anything outside our child. He's been dating his fiance, a 25-year-old female, for almost 3 years. He didn't tell me about him dating her. My 3-year-old did, by the way. So
Oh.
the kid mentioned that the dad was dating someone, not the dad.
Mhm.
Things changed. The fiance announced her engagement. I only knew because I saw it on her social media. She and I have been friends on social media for over 10 years, but X and I aren't friends. Right before this, he told me that he could not financially support his daughter for a while. He pays child support, but we've never gone to court. He told me it was because he was moving to a new job field. I said that's great and fine. Days later, I opened my social app to see an expensive looking ring. I was annoyed, but things were civil, so I said nothing. Fast forward a month later, his mom texted me to say she would take our child on his days, but not all of his days. He texted me after to say that he was busy. In less than 24 hours before he was supposed to have her, so I figured something must have come up. I made arrangements to be home instead. I was It was only until a few days later that I started seeing vacation photos with his or on his fiance's Facebook. Next was word vomit. When when his next time to have our daughter came, I let him have it. I told him he could have let me know in advance he was going out of town and that he would have known for weeks ahead, and how disrespectful he used his mom to communicate instead of coming to me. I said it's a pattern. He also didn't tell me about his plan to marry, and that involves our daughter. His response? His fian his fiance wasn't getting any legal rights to our daughter. Why did it matter? I asked, is it important for our daughter to gain a stepmom? Is it important for that you tell me about important things going in on our daughter's life? The conversation really went nowhere, and the fiance then blocked me, which spoke volumes. Not only do we think you should have found out like this, you shouldn't have found out at all. In the end, I told him our daughter won't attend his wedding. As far as she knows, the reason she isn't going to the wedding is because we have a trip planned for that day, and they don't even have a set wedding date because they are due with a new child now. I've raised our daughter almost solely. Even when he and I were together, I've been there for all of her important events, and I fear he'll go behind my back and I'll miss seeing at her first wedding and even potentially being a flower girl for the first time. I would not be able to get her dress or do her hair or see her walk the aisle, all which mean a great deal to me to be witness to. Please tell me, am I the jerk? My friends tell me I'm not. Everyone else says that I'm being selfish and punishing them for no reason. And his family says I've caused them to postpone the wedding. I feel bad, but I still am firm about my decision.
BS. That's straight up BS. Right there. That those statements, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so like the initial question, it can easily be read off as being a jerk without the full context, which there's a lot of context. With the context, she is not being a jerk. I think that's reasonable. I would do the same thing. Like with the, it's clear that the person that used to be her husband was is not the most put together guy out there through the fact that like he's doing all this stuff without like telling her
Mm-hmm.
um or not giving enough information and having his family like blame her uh for the trouble that she is causing, like, and it's for a reasonable cause too, because she wants to like take care of her daughter and protect her, which is what a good parent does.
Mm-hmm.
So she's not being a jerk. If anything, her ex-husband is being a jerk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like again, it's hard to read like exactly like how good natured or bad natured this guy is, but it's just like I think it's just one of those cases where it's just like he just doesn't seem to be the most put together guy out there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, not a jerk. Not a jerk.
I would agree. I feel like so I agree with that. If it's something pertaining to their daughter, it has to be something brought up between the two of them as well. Whether
Mhm.
it's introducing someone new, especially someone who's going to be permanent, like the fiance,
Hmm.
possibly the other child. As well, I'm noticing there seems to be a little bit of lying here on his side because he mentioned that he couldn't really pay the child support for a while, but then you've got, the
That's
trip.
the yeah, that's the other thing too. The fact that like he couldn't pay for child support, but he paid for the ring. That's
Now,
no.
I will say there is a chance, because of how involved his family seems to be with this, there is a chance that the family pitched in for the ring. But there's also the vacation and the wedding, which wedding, again, families could potentially pitch in. But I would still see him and his fiance putting in more money for it.
Yeah, well, in a lot of cases you have to put in like money for it. And
Hmm.
I mean, I know like for the wedding that my brother and his fiance are going to be having in net this year in a few months, uh they they're paying for a lot of the different stuff. Now, they are I don't know how tight of a budget they are, but considering the fact that the both of them are still in college and my brother won't be graduating until like the fall semester, uh I it's reasonable to think that like the budget is like um they're finding a good way to like not overextend that too much.
Hmm.
But they're paying for like all this different stuff. So like weddings, even the smaller weddings are not cheap.
No, they're not.
Because like you gotta cater to the people. You gotta make sure like everyone is like enjoying themselves. You
Right.
know,
Well,
in fact,
not only that, unless you already know someone who can officiate weddings, that's gonna end up like finding the people to help run it's gonna be expensive.
mhm,
Getting a venue is gonna be expensive. Because
yeah.
I can't think of too many people who'd want to have a marriage fairly, like somewhere where they can get to easily.
Yeah, and the other thing to take into consideration too, having a wedding is not I mean it is a party, but like it's more than just a party. You're making to most people outside of the family spectrum
Hmm.
a first impression of like why you are together with your spouse.
Right.
Like I think that's a very important thing to consider. Like like not just for a wedding, but for marriage, period.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, all that to say, like we're just over explaining a lot of these points, but like,
Yes.
she's not a jerk. She's not a jerk. If she were to go into court for this, which can be a most likely case, I would defend her.
Hmm.
I absolutely would.
I wouldn't, but that's just because I haven't passed the bar. But I, I still see her. I mean,
Hmm.
I wouldn't be her lawyer, but
I wouldn't be her lawyer either.
yep.
But I have a brother-in-law who's a lawyer, so.
Hmm. All right. Next story. Am I the jerk for being upset that my boyfriend doesn't want to spoil Harry Potter for me?
Hmm.
All right. You want me to read the story?
Go ahead.
All right. Hi, guys. So 21-year-old female, and my boyfriend, 19-year-old male, are watching Harry Potter. Basically, he didn't watch them, read most of the books, but got spoiled about many things. And I have this thing where I love watching movies with people that don't know what will happen, but I do. So during the several first movies, when he would ask me stuff about what will happen, I wouldn't tell him the truth so that it kept a surprise. At some point, he asked me not to do that, so I stopped, and I don't lie to him about the movies anymore. And we were watching the sixth movie where one of the main characters dies. And he's like, I know something about his death. And I asked what it was, but he wouldn't tell me. Then he told me he knows that Harry dies at some point and comes back to life. And I was like, oh, and do you know why that? Or why is that? Because I know the reason, but I hoped it would be a surprise to him. And again, he wouldn't tell me, even if I told him I couldn't get really spoiled about Harry Potter. He bragged that I could tell him if I wanted, but I really don't want to spoil him. And I have this thing where I get frustrated very easily, and I don't really know how to deal with that. So I told him, please tell me, because I'm getting really frustrated, and I don't want that for both of us. And he was laughing about it mainly. But it was not so funny to me, and I know it's my fault for being upset easily, but I told him that it was getting on my nerves, and seeing him laughing about me not being able to deal with my own feelings is not so great. So again, I know it's my fault that I don't know how to deal with my emotions, but right now I feel bad and we're not really talking. Please help me. Am I the jerk?
This is a very interesting scenario.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Very interesting. I guess you could say that they had a um I'm trying to think of like
You're trying to think of a Harry Potter pun, aren't you?
yes I am. Um the you could say there's an Avada Kedavra in their space right now. But like but here's the thing. Like it's just a movie.
Hmm.
It's just a movie. Like I get not wanting to be spoiled by
Right.
certain things, but like again, it's just a movie.
Hmm.
And if you know what because she knows is it that she knows what's happening, what happens at the end of each movie? Like she's seen the movies before,
So she's seen the movies before.
but he's only read the books.
He's only read the books, but got spoiled about many things.
Okay, okay. Again, that like I'm sorry, but that's kind of pitiful for like having to start an argument. Like if you already know what's gonna happen in these movies, what's the point? But like, but here's the thing, towards the end, it
Hmm.
feels like he's being the jerk,
Right.
being like a brat about things. So I don't know.
So
I don't know.
do you want to hear my opinion on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, she is the jerk. The reason being is she mentioned at the beginning that she has this thing where she loves watching movies with people that don't know what's going to happen, but she does. And she will lie about stuff that will happen in the movie, which, you know,
Okay.
I get
Yeah.
I get that she doesn't want to spoil anything, but there's a better way around it.
Yeah, there's a better way around it. There's a
Mhm.
better way around it. So I say
So,
with that, I say with that she is being a jerk,
mhm.
but 2 cents, the guy is also kind of being a jerk too.
Well, here's the other thing. The thing that the guy is doing, he's like,
Hmm.
oh, I know this, but he's withholding certain information,
Hmm.
sort of like what the girlfriend was doing.
Hmm.
So he's basically giving her a case of her own medicine, which she's getting upset about. I mean, I'm
Oh,
still saying they're both being jerks in this situation,
yeah.
but with him, it's more, okay, you've been doing this with me, so now I'm gonna turn the tables, see how you like it, which is getting her frustrated. Which, in my opinion, if you're getting, I know I said nothing really relationshipy, but this will bring up a relationship topic. If you're intentionally upsetting your significant other, you're being a jerk.
Wait, can I say something about that?
Sure.
It's not a relationship.
I need a little drum set so that whenever one of us says a joke, it's dun.
Man, I should probably start pulling out my drum set closer by just so that way I can time it properly.
Yep.
You gave me a good idea for future episodes.
All right. No,
But
you're just recording at a drum set. So one of us will make a joke and I'll immediately see you put sticks up and go
Mhm.
as I use.
Well, I think in this case you wouldn't be able to see me do it because I would have it on the side of my desk over here. So I would have to turn over a little bit.
Well, no, I was saying you record at the drum set, so you have your computer on the drum set and you record it.
Oh,
No. But anyway, in my opinion, they are both being jerks in this situation.
yeah. And again, it's just a movie. Like I have a problem. I have a whole problem with all that in general. Like not just for movies, but for any type of medium in general. Like there are people on the internet that complain about every little thing in like games and treat it
Hmm.
like it's just the biggest deal out there. Like I remember when Pokemon Sword and Shield were coming out in like 2019 and how they announced that like they were cutting off the national decks because that way they don't have to develop so many different models along with the new Pokemon that they were modeling.
Mm.
Which, you know, looking back at that, it's reasonable.
Yes.
But other people who cared about the national decks were oh man, they were fuming about it. And it's just like it's just a game, guys.
Hmm.
Like, come on. Like, I feel like there are those people that just spend way too much time on the internet and they don't get enough taste of the real world. Like, go touch grass, buddy. Or I guess in this case, if you live in Illinois currently, go touch snow.
Yes. Yep. All right. So for time's sake, these next ones
Mhm.
we're gonna go through, I'm gonna say the title. I'll let you think for a few seconds and then I'll read the stories.
Okay.
All right, so this next story. Am I the jerk for trying to help my neighbor shovel her side or shovel her driveway? Couple seconds, let you think. All right, and I'm gonna read. So I, 19-year-old male, was already outside shoveling my own driveway when I noticed my neighbor, 17 to 18-year-old female, across the street shoveling theirs. I don't know her, but something immediately looked off. She kept stopping, bending over, holding her stomach, and occasionally her chest too. Then she slipped and fell in the snow. I saw that and I walked over to check on her. I asked if she was okay, and she said yes, she looked pale and was still holding her stomach. I'm not entirely sure what was wrong. I asked if she needed help, and she said she had to get the driveway done before her dad left for work. Her dad was still inside at this point. I told her I could just finish it really quick if she needed to rest. As we were talking, her dad came outside. He saw me shoveling and immediately started yelling, asking what was I doing on his driveway and what I was doing. I tried to explain that his daughter had fallen and looked unwell, and that I was just helping her out. He became upset and said that if he wanted his daughter to shovel the snow, she would, and to back off of his property. I left, and he put up a no trespassing sign on his lawn around the day later. I am autistic, and I know I often misread situations, So I asked my mom and sister, who both said that they thought I was in the right, but I know they would lie to make me feel better, and I understand how it could have been seen as sexist or like demeaning in a way to her, and I am a pretty big, dark, and ugly guy, and I have been told I can look scary sometimes, so I can understand how it may look from the dad's perspective. I have been thinking about it, and I believe that I may have acted in a way that makes me a jerk.
No, no. I revoke that statement. That is such BS. And
Hmm.
what sold the deal for me was the fact that when the dad told him to walk away, he did. He did. And
Yes.
I mean, sure, he could have also said that, like, no, I gotta shovel this snow off. But he did the most courteous thing out there and actually
Yes.
walked away. He walked away. The dad is being a jerk.
Well, not
Like,
only that, but he was like he saw the neighbor, noticed that the neighbor was already, looking unwell, holding,
yeah.
and then when she fell, he walked over and you know, he asked if she was okay. And this was, yeah, it wasn't like he was being like, "Oh, okay, I'll just go help her shovel." No, the way I would see it is he would ask to shovel the driveway as well. Not just be like, oh yeah, I'll just go shovel the driveway because she looks helpless. No, he was helping her.
Yeah, and here's the thing too. I think the only small mistake that he didn't do that could have helped him avoid the situation, although given how the dad acted, maybe it wouldn't have helped. But I think he should have, like, you know, uh maybe the daughter could have, like, called her dad, and the guy could go ask the dad, like, hey, is it okay if I could shovel your driveway because your daughter kind of looks unwell, and maybe some of that could have been avoided.
Hmm.
But that's a pretty small mistake. um
Yeah.
Again, it could have just been a misunderstanding, and given that the guy is, like, as you said, he's autistic, like, I don't blame him. Like, he's I don't think he's being a jerk. Sure, maybe there may have been a small misunderstanding of the situation, but, like,
Hmm.
I would have done the same, and
Right.
I would most likely made the same mistake of not telling the dad, like, hey, your daughter looks unwell. You think I could shovel? I said I could shovel her driveway if you want me to,
Hmm.
and maybe that could be avoided. But, like, here's the thing: the fact that the guy had to put, like, a no trespassing sign on his property just for that,
Hmm.
like, to me, that kind of spells out some problems over there.
Yes.
And I disagree with the fact that, like, the his sister and mother were telling him that he did the right thing just because, like, trying to make him feel better, you know.
Hmm.
Although I'm not entirely sure about that family dynamic whatsoever, but I don't think he's in the wrong. I think he did a noble thing and that he should get a good handshake for what he did.
All right. I mean, I will understand. Like, I'd understand someone not wanting someone else on their property. I don't understand what was going on with the neighbor's side. I I do feel like putting that no trespassing sign is a little too far. Like, I'd understand
I,
if the father came out and was like, "Hey, thank you for helping, but this was something I wanted her to do. Maybe this was like a punishment for her. Maybe this was something like that."
Mhm.
But again, because he's asking if he's the jerk, he's not the jerk. He noticed something that was off and he went to help.
Mhm.
All right. So next one. Am I the jerk for not giving children cookies? Did you think about it for a sec? And out we go. All right. So I'm a male, 20 years old, still living with my mom, female, 46. Not my choice, really. Things are expensive. Anyways, my girlfriend came over and baked cookies for me. And there was a specification on me. Like she made a whole batch, put them in tubs and everything. I already gave one whole tub to my cousins because my mom asked, and I was like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. No big deal. But then later, my mom tried to take another tub to give to them. I said no, because those were the ones I was saving. My girlfriend literally made them for me, and I already shared once. My mom instantly got mad and started saying I'm stingy and that it makes her look bad if she shows up with nothing. I told her she already brought cookies, so I don't know why she needs more. She kept pushing, saying it's just cookies, and why are you being so selfish? That's when I snapped, not gonna lie. I told her she's always acting like anything in the house automatically belongs to her, and she never respects my boundaries. I said that it I said if it's just cookies, then it shouldn't be a big deal to not give them away either. She got super offended, like I was disrespectful and ungrateful, and now she's barely talking to me. Apparently, my cousins think I'm being dramatic over cookies, which is annoying because they already got some. I don't think I'm wrong because I already shared and they weren't even hers to give away in the first place. But now everyone's acting like I'm the bad guy over baked goods. So yeah, am I the jerk or nah?
I don't I, I don't think so. I don't think so. And here's why. Because he already gave a badge that was already intended for him in the first place, to his mom to give to his cousins.
All right.
And that's reasonable enough. And is there a specific amount of how much a batch is, or is it just like a generalized term that could mean anything?
Um, the way I think about it is it's a generalized term because you can get a batch of 8 cookies, you can get a batch of a dozen. It For me, it bases off of how much ingredients I put in and how much for cookies, cookie dough is left over.
Okay, so be like a good amount of
Hmm.
cookies.
Right.
So he already gave like one tub away to his
Hmm.
cousins.
Right.
Now, I think the cousins are kind of being jerks because they already got cookies and they're blaming him for not giving him like
Hmm.
his mom the cookies. I don't think he's being stingy. Like I think that's reason enough. I think the mom is kind of being a jerk and being like over dramatic.
Hmm.
Um, and I think it could be to the point now where like I think maybe he can try and maybe he is trying, he's just trying to save up, but try to like get his own place
Hmm.
and not be surrounded by that type of environment because like I get having like I okay, I shouldn't say entirely get because like I don't ever have controlling parents. I say I have pretty good parents and they gave me a good amount of like I did have restrictions, but I also got a lot of free will
Hmm.
based on the stuff that I was able to do even as like a homeschooler. So but I yeah, I don't think he's being a jerk. I
No,
don't think so.
no. So the way I view food, sharing food,
Hmm.
is if it's food specifically for you,
Hmm.
you should decide. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go to McDonald's, buy a large fry, and then accept that you're just taking fries from me. No, if you can ask me for a fry, I may give you a fry, I may not. But overall, because it's my food made for me, it should be my choice.
Yeah, you want to know something about that? You
Hmm.
made me instantly think of the Marceline from Adventure Time. Daddy, why did you eat my fries? I bought them and they were mine. Daddy, Do you even love me? It's that type of scenario.
Yeah. No, but like I said, I don't think he's the one being the jerk because, again, it's his things. If he doesn't want to share his things, he shouldn't have to.
Yeah. Again, I think that's reasonable, especially since those cookies were made by
Yeah,
his girlfriend,
those cookies were a gift to him from his girlfriend.
and I think he was generous enough to give them to his cousins.
Exactly.
That shows that he is willing to share in certain circumstances, you know.
Right. Well, he gave them a tub, and
Yeah.
the way I'm assuming it is there's two tubs, so he pretty much gave them half the cookies already.
Hmm. And who knows? Maybe that tub wasn't just for him. Maybe he would have intended to like I don't know, go to some type of gathering with his friends, and he's like, "Hey, my girlfriend made these cookies. You want some?" I did that just the other night. I made a tub of cookies with my mom because my sister gave me homemade vanilla for Christmas. So I learned to make chocolate chip cookies,
Hmm.
Toll House chocolate chip cookies specifically, which you could conveniently get the recipe for if you buy Toll House chocolate chips.
Right.
But I made those with my mom. Now I ate a good chunk of them, but because I was having friends over, uh, we're recording on Sunday, so Friday night, um, this past week, I had a couple friends over, and it's like, I want to give them some cookies. Uh, they only ended up like taking one, but but they enjoyed the cookies. It's it's good to share and not because there are the seven deadly sins, and gluttony is one of them. But I don't think he was being gluttonous in this case. I think he's being reasonable. I think he's being generous enough
Hmm.
to do that, and that the mom is just kind of being dramatic. Again, it's a similar thing with like the movie. It's just a movie. It's just cookies.
Hmm.
Like you're making a big fuss over nothing. And I cannot tell you how many scenarios I've been where people will just make a big freaking deal out of nothing.
So that's one more thing, because the mom, after he initially said no to the second tub, said it makes her look bad if she shows up with nothing.
That's the other thing. I try to remember all these details as possible for the record. Hard to process all that information at once. But that's the other thing.
Hmm.
Like she's more concerned about herself looking bad. And it's
Right.
just like, if you're that concerned,
Just go buy store-bought cookies.
go
Maybe
buy
it
some
tastes as good,
store-bought
but
cookies. I mean, sure, homemade cookies taste better, but like Walmart, I mean, Walmart chocolate chip cookies taste pretty okay, you know. Um,
or make your own cookies if you're gonna
yeah,
get
make your own cookies. I
hmm.
mean, the thing about baking I've come to realize is that baking is a lot more tougher than cookies. But baking is a lot more tougher than actual cooking. Because
Yes,
like
but
with cooking, because like I make a lot of spaghetti and chili and tacos and burgers.
mhm,
Those you don't have to make those things exactly proportional. You
mhm,
can you can have a little bit of flexibility with the ingredients. Um,
yep,
you can't do that with baked goods. Everything has to be exactly proportioned. When I was making cookies with my mom, she's like, you gotta skim the top off of the cups like this so that way you could get it flat as possible because you want it exactly. Because too much of it, I mean, I remember one of the places I used to work at, and Xavier used to work at too. They had this cookie sheet, this cookie chart of like, if there's too much eggs, then it look like this. If it's got too much flour, it looks like this. If it's
mhm,
got too little of this, it looks like this. And if it's, it's
right.
all that stuff. Because like
So,
cookies are pretty easy to make, but if you don't make things exactly, you're gonna kind of have a rough time.
mhm. To put this into musical terms, it's like it's like your baking is a concert band. Everything has to be precise. Everything has to be correct. There can't really be exceptions. Whereas, and Jake, you have all right to yell at me for this one. Whereas cooking is jazz band, where if there's an accident, just go off of it. Oops, I made too much lemon, or I put too much lemon spice, whatever in this. Okay,
Hmm.
we're gonna go with it. Let's see what else I could do.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with a jazz band is that while the music is different in terms of style, in
Mm.
terms of like um and there's also improvisation in there that in subcharts.
Well,
There's
that's
still
what
like
I
an
mean. Jazz band
yeah,
allows for more improv.
yeah. Well, in a jazz combo with a smaller group, one that isn't so focused on like the band itself in terms of like arranging, because like you go to like the top level big bands, everything has to be precise. When you're in a smaller jazz group, there's a little bit more, much more flexibility that goes along with it. You know, you can extend your solo choruses. You're not necessarily tied to a certain amount of time like you would in a big band setting.
Hmm.
Because most big band charts, they're not that flexible in terms of time range. Maybe occasionally you'll get a big band piece where someone takes a few more choruses, but you still got backgrounds and a lot of solos to worry about if they're written in. In the jazz combo, you got more flexibility to deal with. I mean, your chart could be 15 minutes long,
Right.
depending,
Mm.
depending.
Yep.
But yeah, yeah, there's flexibility that goes along with that. But that's all to say, this guy's not a jerk. This guy's not a jerk. And the mom could either buy store-bought cookies or learn to bake her own stuff.
Hmm.
And again, with a lot of these Reddit posts, you know, there aren't a lot of exact details to go around in terms of
Hmm.
like the grand scale of what escalated it to the situation.
Right. And it only
What
tells the one side. It doesn't go through multiple different sides.
Yeah,
So,
but seeing as like a lot of these sound well, maybe just a couple. A lot of these, at least the ones that aren't jerks, they sound a lot more reasonable. Um, but here's the thing, like the one about the movies, like the girlfriend that made the post was being a jerk. Um, you know, about lying about spoiling the movies and making a big fuss about a movie along with her boyfriend. In this scenario, the dude is being reasonable and generous,
mm,
um, and about something that was made for him specifically, and the mom is being a jerk for thinking that like you're being a jerk about this and everything.
mm.
It's Yeah, not a jerk. Not a jerk.
Uh,
That you know what I think that should be an eventual t-shirt of ours. Not a jerk.
yes. Yep. When we get the money to just start selling merchandise, we'll get a not a
We
sh-
we got our first actual merch concept in the
yes.
works.
Not a
Besides
j-
the besides the hats. But
man. I feel like this means we have to do more of these just to keep it relevant.
mhm.
All right, so we got two more for today. This one's a shorter one, and then the last one's gonna be a little longer. So, Jake,
Okay.
am I the jerk for doing my own thing on a group trip? Give you a couple seconds, and away we go. So, I'm a 24-year-old male. Oh, I hope this isn't about me. I don't think it is, but I just got back from a beach trip with 5 friends. We split an Airbnb evenly and rented a car. The plan was basically chill vacation, nothing super strict. By the third day, it was clear the group wasn't on the same page. 2 people wanted to sleep till noon every day and then just drink at the house. That's fine, but I didn't want to spend the whole trip doing that. A couple of us actually wanted to go out and do stuff. The night before, I booked a snorkeling thing for the next day. I paid for it myself. I mentioned it kinda late, and not everyone was around when I said it. In the morning, me and two others took the rental car and left early. When I got back, the people who stayed were. They said I took the shared car without asking, and that felt like I ditched them and changed the vibe of the trip. I said they could have come if they wanted. They just didn't have or want to wake up early. Now it's awkward and people are acting like I tried to take control of the vacation. I honestly don't think everyone has to do the exact same thing the whole time, especially when we're all adults. Am I the jerk?
I here's the only thing I want clarified is just like the whole thing with the car and him, because you mentioned that like when he said that he was gonna book snorkeling, he didn't tell everybody.
No, he did
That
not.
was it.
He's
Um,
well, not only that, he said it pretty late as well.
yeah, he said it pretty late. That is a thing to consider. Um, but the car though, like, did he mention that he was like taking the car to everybody?
This, I mean, I'm sure it was implied when he mentioned it to the people he mentioned it to, but
Mhm.
not, but it doesn't say that he said it outright.
So, okay, this is a bit tricky
Hmm.
because like I do agree with him that like not everyone should be doing the same things and that they should be doing their own things. I think it's kind of jerky that he specifically ruined the vibe of the trip.
Hmm.
I think that's a bit unwarranted. I don't think I think he should have been clear about the schedule, about where he's going, when he was going snorkeling, and I don't think he either shouldn't have taken the car and just rented a different vehicle, or he could have just walked there. Now, well, walk or bike. It's hard to say.
Right.
Um, because there's no specific detail of distance.
Hmm.
But I say for this specific scenario and not the other details surrounding it, I do think he's kind of being a jerk in this instance, but not it's not in a again, I think it could have been avoided if it was just more clear. If he was being more clear, he actually told everybody
Hmm.
uh where he was going, which you should always do when you're in a trip with people, then he wouldn't have been the jerk.
Right.
In this but like again, he's not being a jerk in that like, oh, he's like being uh the boastful I'm right and you're wrong sort of deal. I think it was all in a matter of like a misunderstanding.
Mm.
But this is something that I've experienced in trips that I've gone with other people. And I will admit, I've kind of been in that same scenario too, where like I always try to be clear about where I'm going or telling other people. I will say though, because he didn't specifically mention a group chat to other people, if other people weren't around, like why not text them or call them?
Hmm.
Because like I think that could have been avoided if you at least do that, then maybe that could be avoided.
Well, I'm wondering if part of the reason, because you did mention it was kind of late, part of the reason could be that certain people were already asleep.
That yeah, that's the other thing too. And I think depending on when he scheduled this thing ahead of time, maybe he could have actually like, tell them that he was going to do this. Or maybe he could tell them that he was going to do this, but he hadn't signed up yet.
Mm-hmm.
and wait to sign up until he tells everybody that like, hey, I plan on doing this thing tomorrow.
Right. I don't know. For me, he's definitely a jerk,
Hmm.
especially considering the plan was basically a chill vacation. So,
Yeah, that does sound like a chill vacation. And like,
mhm.
yeah,
Well,
I could tell you, I've been on vacations where they certainly didn't feel chill.
well, the other thing is they rented one car. There's no mention of any other cars. So, him,
They should have probably rented two.
yes, they should have rented two. If
At least two.
Right. Well, if there's like certain things, like maybe one person's gonna take a store trip and then someone else is wanting to go get something else, they could have split off. Or in this
Hmm.
scenario, like I'd understand wanting to do some things during the vacation.
Hmm.
But if I were chilling at home and I checked and the car wasn't there because other people left and I wasn't notified of this,
Hmm.
I would visibly be upset because what if I need to go somewhere?
Yeah.
So
What if I need an arm amputation done?
exactly, exactly. It happens all the time. No, but there's that. There's the fact that he didn't mention it to everyone. You know, I feel like in this scenario he is the jerk.
Yeah. Now, I do think it's kind of a bit jerkish too, although not to the degree that he's at, that like the other guys are just like sleeping till the afternoon and are just like drinking, which you know, that's kind of wasteful. That's something that I don't like to do. I mean, I get the fact that like
Mhm.
I would much rather want to do other things than just sit around and do nothing.
Right.
But
I don't know.
but again, you know, it's supposed to be a chill vacation and they're supposed to do whatever they want, not necessarily having any strict guidelines.
Right.
But if you plan on doing your own things, maybe not buy one car.
Mm-hmm.
In that case, that's everyone's fault in that
Yes.
scenario for not taking that into consideration. I mean, sure, the blame is on him,
Mm-hmm.
but
Right. I completely agree. All right.
mhm.
One last jerk post. Am I the jerk for canceling Christmas after a family fight? Give you a couple seconds to think about it.
Mm.
And let's go. So I, a 25-year-old female, was supposed to go to my family's house for Christmas morning breakfast. My sister, 32-year-old female, 32-year-old female, her husband and her three kids were also going. My brother, 29-year-old male, is married with four kids. My parents are hosting, mom 50, dad 51. Over the past year, my sister-in-law's family moved from about 12 hours away to 10 minutes away. Like everyone, parents, siblings, grandparents, all of them. Since then, my brother and his wife spend a ton of time with her family. We consistently, we constantly hear about dinners, birthdays, and random get-togethers at their house with her side. Meanwhile, my side of the family, me, my sister, and sometimes even my parents, are not really talked to much anymore. We're rarely invited to things with the kids or or plan get-togethers anymore. And genuinely, the last time me and my fiance stopped by their house, we both got a very distinct sense we were unwelcome and almost intruding. I thought maybe um, I was being really sensitive until my fiance brought it up as soon as we got in the car. I want to be clear, I don't resent her family time at all. I'm glad she was, or I'm glad she has support, especially since she's a stay-at-home mom and the rest of us work. We've helped plenty of times in the past with emergencies, watching the kids, even taking PTO to help, set up for birthday parties, etc. But it's been really helpful for them to have family who's more available. Recently, all of his in-laws were invited to his stepdaughter's baptism, down to her siblings' spouses. None of us were invited. We weren't even told this was happening. This wasn't a one-off thing, just the most recent thing where me and my sister were hurt. And unlike every time I've talked to my sister about things like this, I cannot excuse it away. Or I cannot excuse it away. We get left undelivered a lot when trying to plan things with their kids and them. We've asked to do things with the kids, like trick or treating together, kid-friendly New Year's plan for after Christmas stuff, etc., and get zero response. Just straight left undelivered by both of them. I asked 7 times for the kids' Christmas lists, and after a few lukewarm responses, never got them. It honestly seems like we have to beg to be included, and it is exhausting and very different than how all of us have ever been in the past 10 years. I privately told my brother that the lack of involvement this year has been painful and that it makes it feel like our side of the family isn't really wanted in his or his kids' lives anymore. His response was polite, but to be honest, super weird. Basically not an answer, with no apology or like explanation as to why we were not invited whatsoever. When I talked to my mom about it, she told my sister and me that we were being ridiculous and needed to get over it and said stuff like, that's just how he is. And he just doesn't think about stuff like that. At that point, my sister and I were just done. We decided we don't want to go to Christmas morning this year. We just don't feel like showing up and potentially having hurt feeling spilling over in front of the kids. Edit for clarity after a bunch of similar comments. So, am I the jerk for canceling Christmas? And this one's a difficult one.
It is a difficult one, and there was a lot of information dump.
Hmm. Like I said, this
To
one is a long one. Honestly, this was the second longest one, with the longest one being the one about not going to the wedding.
There should be essays at this point.
Well, I tried finding shorter ones.
Yeah. Anyways, um, okay. So I've had situations in the past like that. I won't lie. I've definitely experienced tensions. I definitely have not experienced the ultimate scenario being we're canceling this because of some fight going on.
Hmm.
But taking that into account, if they're feeling uncomfortable about like, just getting blamed on for like this whatever tension it is and feeling like they're getting excommunicated, I I don't blame them for doing that, honestly. Because, like, you know, um, and I honestly think that the parents would have been more supportive about this, but like when the mom said that, like, she's telling them that, like, oh, you should just get over it, like, nah, nah, nah.
All right.
Like, and honestly, I think they did get over it by not coming to the thing.
I mean, all right.
Like, I mean, it doesn't necessarily resolve the tension, but like, you're kind of avoiding another potential fight when you do that. Um, and again, it's a problem of like not communicating stuff very well,
Hmm.
which is something that I've also experienced too. Like people will misread read a situation or they don't communicate stuff clearly and then yell at you because you weren't entirely informed about this thing. To me, that is unreasonable. and it's especially worse when it's your own family.
Hmm.
Like, um, yeah, I don't think she's being a jerk.
Hmm.
I don't think she and her family that she's taking care of are being jerks.
Right. All right. So here's the roller coaster I went to when I initially read this last weekend.
Yeah. Hmm.
So start off with reading about his involvement with the family, especially his sister-in-law, and
Hmm.
then seeing how his involvement went from, or the involvement with the family went from here down a little more, which I would understand to an extent because to an extent
Yes.
because the family that was initially 10 hours away is now 10 minutes away. So there is that little bit of a shift between the family dynamics.
Yeah.
On the As we go down, there are a couple things that make less and less sense.
Hmm.
I'd say the last thing that makes the most sense was the baptism for his stepdaughter.
Yeah, that's the thing that doesn't make sense is like, why would you not communicate that clearly?
Well, I actually feel like this makes some sense because, yes, it, it's his stepdaughter, but his stepdaughter doesn't really have a huge connection to his side of the family other than him.
Okay.
So that's where it makes a little more sense for me.
Hmm.
It's when it comes to lack of communication, no responses, stuff like that, that's when it starts becoming an issue.
Yeah,
And
the
trying to ask for Christmas gifts 7 times for the kids, which, granted, like I mentioned earlier, I come from a family, like, yes, we make lists, but we tend to get things that are more how we feel or what we feel the person we're getting a gift for would like.
Yeah, well, my mom, she has to ask like both of my sisters about like what is something that the kids might want that she's able to do. Now she doesn't necessarily have to give them like a thing necessarily, but
No,
she would like to know in case she's able to consider that.
right.
And I try to get the same thing too. One of the reasons I like to talk to or spend time with my nieces and nephews is because I want to see what they're currently interested in. You know, now, given that I'm a college student still and I have to pay for an apartment and groceries and other things,
Hmm.
I don't have as much money to give them things.
Right.
I've considered like, taking them to the movies, giving them experiences rather than things.
Right.
Um, but as of now, it's not that feasible. I mean, my older sister lives 5 hours away. My
Hmm.
other sister lives a little bit closer, but like that's still like hour and a half drive,
Right.
possibly 2 hours. But um, but again, it's hard to judge that scenario. That's why one of the things I started doing this year because of like my uh not having that much flexibility to buy things, I
Hmm.
started making like music stuff. Now
Right.
most of it has been for like the adults in the family, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sisters, my brother-in-laws. Um, but they enjoyed that. They enjoyed that stuff. And I want to try and do similar things for the kids. Now, for the younger kids, it's a little bit hard because they're younger and they're not as attached to those experiences quite yet. I did make a piece of music, and I plan on doing this with my other nieces and nephews. When my niece turned 13 last year, um, I made a composition for her, something that I was making for at least a year or two, and she liked it. She liked it. Besides the name, I still like the name of the composition, but and she's also 13, so like she doesn't quite understand my reasoning
Right.
quite yet. But anyways, but that is to say, like,
Right.
ultimately, I don't think she's being a jerk. I think I
So,
think it's I think it's reasonable,
mhm,
at least for the scenarios leading up to it.
right. I would agree. And going back to my point that I was starting,
Hmm.
you know, she asked for lists and
Hmm.
like that, but she asked, I think it mentioned 7 times
Hmm.
for lists, which I'll admit, if family was that close, like I could tell you what my immediate family's interests are. I could tell you something that I know for a fact I could get my grandparents or my uncles. It's the family I don't communicate with as much or the family I don't talk to as much. That's where the list comes in. And the fact that she needs to ask for a list for them because of how little interaction she gets with these kids, that's where a lot of the validity on her end. So I don't think she's the one being a jerk. I feel like it is more her brother and her brother's spouse.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I don't. Now it's hard to tell from that side.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's like one of those things where it's just like it's hard to say whether he's actually being a jerk
Hmm.
or not. I mean, the behavior comes off as being a jerk, and
Yes.
maybe it is, maybe it is. But I again, it's miscommunication. It's a
Hmm.
lot of miscommunication, which is why you get scenarios like this. And that's just another form of like ignorance. Now, whether you're purposefully ignoring the messages or you're actually being busy, that's the debatable question. But still, how this was executed, like she's not being a jerk.
No.
She's not being a jerk. She
No.
I think it's more than reasonable.
Hmm. I do feel she is taking it a little more to the extreme.
Mhm.
I agree. I don't think she's being a jerk in the sense of where she feels the involvement from the brother's side is.
And again, that's a very long,
Hmm.
like the other one about the wedding may have been longer, but this one was so compact in
Yes.
details, which made
Mhm.
it tricky to analyze.
Mhm.
And like Xavier knows this, but I have a very slow time like processing all that stuff, whether it's reading or speaking to. Like I have to read stuff over like 2 or 3 times in order to get it to let it sink in, if it's that compact, or if it's not conveyed very clearly. Um,
Mhm.
so maybe she is actually being a jerk, and yes, she might be taking this a little bit too extreme.
Like she might be like the lady from the splitting the check thing.
Yeah, but this is a way more complicated situation than splitting the check, especially when it comes to like a family dynamic. Um, yeah. Um, so yeah, that's pretty that's a lot of curious situations right there.
Yeah, and we may do some more of these depending on how we feel. I think if we're planning on doing that shirt, we gotta do some more of these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And let us know what you think. Do you think that or do you agree with us? Do you feel like we're in the wrong with talking about someone? Please let us.
Are we the real jerks?
Well, yes, we're on the internet. But
Yeah.
But
We're
regardless,
automatically jerks just because we're on the internet.
totally. But regardless, let us know, and I will make sure there are links to each of these posts in our description. That way you can go read the full story and get the privilege of reading the comments that we don't have because there will probably be people who will bring up some valid arguments about
Yeah.
this. Yep. And if there's
Yeah.
oh, what's that?
No, I was just saying, yeah, keep the discussion going.
Yep. And if there's anything that you want us to talk about, whether it's maybe another Am I the Jerk situation that you want us to talk about in a future episode, or a different topic that you want us to talk about, make sure to let us know in the comments. That way, Jake and I can look through it and try to figure out when we can throw that in, because we'd love to hear from you, the viewers. Well, with that being said, I would say that this video is done. Jake, do you have any?
Xavier, I wanted to tell you this.
Yep.
Um, you know what could possibly make you a jerk?
What?
Not putting Pikachu on S tier when we did our Gen 1 tier list.
All right, I'm going to go to where you are and beat you up. Pikachu
The
does
scary
not
thing is
deserve
he
S tier.
actually knows where I live.
I do. Pikachu does not deserve an S tier. Do you understand that? Pikachu does not deserve the S tier.
Ah.
All right. Well, with that being said, I'm Xavier Dean.
And Jacob Green.
We're wishing you a wonderful night. Stay safe, stay warm for those of you who are in the Midwest right now. I hope you all have a wonderful day or have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week.